Okay, I'm gonna go through these edits real quick here and just kind of show the process of some of the spots that we're cleaning up and some of the changes from what's on there right now. So I'm gonna place this in. Okay, so the first thing I do when I review these projects is I just take a look at it in 3D and check to see for stuff that stands out, that doesn't look right. And I'm just walking you through my process so you know how kind of that I approach it on a typical basis. So these lines, to me, this looks like, and I think you had said that you were raising these to a dummy surface or something when we had talked before. So for that situation, using a dummy surface, there's basically two situations that we can use that technique. One is for raising line work that needs to be part of a design surface to an existing surface. So that's for points where it's going to be consistent on both surfaces for that string of points for that line, or places where it's going to tie into the existing, etc. The other situation is for a spot where we are able to, we're raising line work up to a surface that is already defined as the final grade, and then that line work is going to be used for doing the area segregation, for breaking out the materials for the subgrades. So as far as the dummy surface on a design, as far as using the dummy surface technique for design line work, you can only do it if the line work that you're raising to the final surface is not going to be deviating at all from that surface. So for this situation, this roadway is going to be a defining feature of the final surface on the project. So we can't use any sort of dummy surface to elevate it. Look at how over here it's jogging down. This line has is one of the aspects of the project which is dictating a break line. So the water is going to run and then hit an angle right off the edge of that road. So we can't rely on the contours or other design information for elevating that roadway. So that has to be done manually. And it's the same process as if the survey had information on it. And this is obviously a weird project, but it's a good learning experience to be able to kind of see some of this stuff. And this is this is closer to doing design work anyway. So I find it a little more fun. It's a little less robotic or repetitive, just kind of going off the plan. You get to do a little bit of thinking. So I'm looking at this. So yeah, all the points, so it was raised up there. So to fix this, what we're going to do is put it at an undefined elevation. I'm actually just going to delete this surface so that we're not rebuilding it every time that we have to make edits. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find defined points wherever I can along this project so that we can do the best job that we can to accurately model it. So I'm going to guess it's going to tie in right there to the existing roadway. And then this is a contour, so obviously it's going to have to be the same. And also on these projects, we're not dropping for the topsoil. I'm not sure if that was done. I'll check in a second here. So we know that, so logically, as we move along a line like this, we're thinking, okay, we have the entryway to the house is at 1053.5. Walk out of the house, we can't have it draining back towards the house. So I'm just going to check to make sure that this is, reasonable, because we have this long stretch along this line where we don't have any design information. It's just a constant slope. We could raise it to the existing surface. And actually, I don't think you did that. Although that would be not a bad idea for this stretch, but for this, 1053.28 right off the house. So that's draining back towards the yard away from the foundation. So I'm fine with that. So I'm just going to leave it. So it becomes somewhat simple. We just have these 3 points that tie into the contours as we move along. I might put, raise it up a little bit in a certain point to try to, this is actually pretty constant. This is 1054. So I'm going to say this is 1054.1. And then I'm going to say the same thing for here just to keep it flat. Otherwise, it's going to start to jog up consistently across that area, and it looks like it's pretty steadily flat along here. So then at the house, at the barn, we have 1055. So now we have a line going all the way from the beginning of the driveway to the end. We only did like 5 or 6 points, and that's as accurate as we're going to get it. So that's the same process. I'm not going to go through it in the interest of time in this video for the rest of these lines, but what we would do is do the same thing with all of these driveway boundaries are going to have to be elevated. And we can't use the dummy surface because they are part of the final surface themselves, so they can't be ignored. The dummy surface would have to include them. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if there are any questions on that part of it. The other part of this, and then there'd be some ripple through work. Like this line is going to have to be changed, the elevation at this point where it ties in, and I'm going to have to go back and do all this. So this is going to change. Actually, this should be pretty consistent. For this one, I'll just show you how I do it. Just like, every spot's different. Like if we have, so this is, it looks fairly okay. But in principle, we still can't do that. So what I'm going to say is that at the barn, it's 1055. So that's both sides. And then it gets pretty close to the house right here. I don't want it to be exactly the same as that garage. So I'm going to say it's 1055.45. I'll do the same thing here. And then I'm going to go 3.5 out here for a little drainage away from the garage. And $10.55. And if I'm reading this wrong, if you did this in a different way and I'm not, and I'm mistaken on this, let me know. I want to walk through this and show you my process of doing a review and the steps I'm taking to fix some of this stuff. So, and yeah, for these projects, we're not dropping the contours for topsoil. So we have to do the driveway separately. That's another kind of thing to note. Make sure to look at the dispatch. We do not have the topsoil on this one. So for these retaining walls now, and this, it should have been on the dispatch. I will check after, and if it's not, I will send a message apologizing for not putting it on there. But these need to be accounted for in the grading. And, you know, it's all part of it. That message I sent out, too, that was to the whole staff. I just want everyone to kind of be aware of that procedure. I don't know if I had been clear on that as far as where we want questions to come back to us. And, you know, using this method of elevating lines, it's very, I'll say it's a lot easier to work from start to finish than it is from finish to start. So going back and editing can be a challenge. Although, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. But just to facilitate the process, it's easiest to deal with that stuff as the model gets built and not from the very end. So it's just calling for a few retaining walls here. So what I do is I just do it pretty kind of rough. It's not to be perfect, but this is the extent of the wall. You draw one side for the top, and then you draw one side for the bottom, and you just bring it back to the garage. So I'm just going to draw all of these, and we'll go back, and I'll show you how we elevate it. So these two, and this is just a weird plan. So they drew the elevations here in this hand-drawn notation. So we work off of that. So I'm going to say this is 1052 at the bottom of the wall. This contour, what is this contour? 1054. What? Doesn't sound right. 1055, 1054, 1052. Alright, well, 1054. And then I'm going to say this is 1050, 54.5 there, and then it's going to come back and be right at the entrance elevation there. So this is what it's looking at. We're going to have to change this edge as well. So all these changes have a ripple through effect then with the rest of the line work, and it's just yeah, we just want to catch this stuff as soon as we can. So 1052, I just say so this is now a flat area at the bottom of this wall. And then I guess that whole thing is flat. Now this is 1050. So you see how I'm just kind of working along the wall and figuring out what the elevation needs to be at every point. That looks like a 49 to me. $10.49, $10.48, $10.46. It says 10.46 right there, so that's what we'll go. And so you can see it's starting to lay out, so that's what it's intended to be. Again, 10.46, 10.44, 10.42, and 10.42. So we have all that. Now I'm going to go and make these changes along the wall. Just going to delete these for the time being. Let's see. So there it is, it looks pretty good. So that's most of the changes. I got to go back and do the rest of the driveway lines, and then I got to fix the topsoil, make sure everything's back up at the undropped elevation, so not the 0.5, but just the as is, as shown in the plans contours. And then I'm going to go back and make sure that everything is hitting the line. So all of these lines are going to have to be shifted to match the topsoil. I got to go back and look at this retaining wall because it's going to lay out different. So, yep, you can just see there's a lot of ripple through that ends up happening in those cases. But we'll get through it. Otherwise, I think that's it. And I will send this over to you now. Thank you for your time.